Hello everyone, I hope you're all well. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Now a few days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, I did a video regarding embossing with your stencils on the BigShot. Now I always like to do a follow-up video following any questions or anything like that. Now I had an amazing response to that video, so thank you very much. Now what I'm doing is I've come back and I've lifted my phone stand just so that you can see the BigShot a little bit clearer in the picture, just so that the camera's not too close down to the picture, just so that you can see everything that I'm doing. Now my desk is in a complete mess because I've been doing workshops. I've been recording a tag-along workshop and there's stuff everywhere. So I'm just going to go through a few things. Now when I'm demonstrating, I always demonstrate what works for me. Now when it comes to die cutting machines, there are so many things that you have to take into consideration. You have to take into consideration the card you use. So I'm using 300 GSM Pink Frog Super Smooth card. Now if you're using a card that is 250 GSM, well then you might not get as good a embossing, so therefore maybe up the GSM card that you use, or use a shim. And what I mean by a shim is add another piece of card to your combination of plates. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. I'm going to use my stencils. So I'm using another one of my stencils from All and Create, and it's called The Wonder of Nature Stencil 160, and this is one of my designs. Now I've cut some card 4 inches by 6 inches, and this is Pink Frog Super Smooth white card 300 GSM. And what I'm going to do is use the same combination as I used before, but we're going to test a few things. So when you've got your combination right, make a note of it, just so that if ever you don't emboss for like 3 months, you can come back and you've got that noted down. And what I would suggest, bear with me, let me just grab. So I've got these little wallets here, just a wallet with a press stud on. And what I often do is I'll place some of my notes in there so that it stays clean, and I'll place that with my BigShot machine. So first of all, let's go back to what I did even a few days ago. Not that there's any room on this desk. So first of all, this is the standard size BigShot. This is not the BigShot Plus. This is just the standard BigShot. And what I've got, when you get your BigShot, you get these plates. You get thin adapter die, you get your platform, and I will show you again what I used. So I used the standard platform. I had to move this along so that you can see. So there's the standard platform that comes with your machine. I then added one of my cutting pads. Again, it comes with your standard die cutting machine. So that's the cutting plate. What I did then is I added my stencil. So in this case, Stencil 160, which is the Wonder of Nature. So I won't stop saying so, Tracy. Place the stencil onto the cutting pad. Then take whichever card you're using and place that on the top of the stencil. So let's just place that on the top of the stencil. Then what I purchased for myself was a silicone rubber mat, which is a Sizzix silicone rubber mat. Now it's taken me a while to purchase one of these because I tested loads of combinations to see whether I really needed to purchase the silicone rubber mat. So I thought it was about time I bought one to see if it actually works. So I've got the silicone rubber mat, and then I've got the I can't even say it, the impressions pad, again from Sizzix. So I placed the impressions pad just on the top, like so. place that on the top. Now what you want to do is, obviously I'm going to run this through. Now I can run this through quite easily. So let's just run that through. I can run it through without having to worry about forcing anything. So let's see what we achieve. Exactly like I did the other day. So let's remove all these. So we'll remove the impressions pad, then the little rubber, and then what I get is a beautiful emboss. And for me, it's just worth it. I mean, look at that. I mean, you've gone from my stencil, which I adore, to this embossing. Just superb. Now, does it make any difference if you add water to your card? So this is what we've got. I've got a nice deep emboss. I'm trying to capture that for you on the camera. And I do apologise if you can see all the clutter around me. It's a typical crafter's desk. And reverse, the deboss looks beautiful. And for me, that's a quality emboss. Right, what happens if we add some water? So I'm going to take, I've got my stencil on my platform exactly the same. And what I'm going to do, just off camera, is use my spritzer bottle. And I'm going to spritz the front and the back of the card with a light misting of water. And so you can see that to prove that I'm not hiding anything. That's spritzed with a light spritz of water. So we've got the card on the top. So we need our silicone rubber mat. And it's important to write these things down, because then you don't have to worry about forgetting. So then add the impressions pad on the top, like so. And let's see if the water makes any difference to our embossing. So again, I'm using exactly the same products, exactly the same combination of plates. Nothing has changed apart from the fact I have added water. So let's see if we get a deeper emboss. And I'm going to be honest with you, and let's see. So let's turn this over and let's see if I get a deeper emboss. And I'm looking very closely. I would say slightly. I would say you actually get a slightly deeper emboss if you spritz the card with water. Just turn those over. Just try to tilt those. The blue that you can see here is the blue ink I've used on my stencil. So I would say yes, you get slightly a deeper emboss. So I've got two lovely pieces of card I can use. Right, let's now add some ink to my stencil. So let's move all this out of the way. So I've got the same stencil, and let's add some colours. Let's add some bright colours to my stencil. So I'm using mustard seed distress oxide, ripe persimmon distress oxide, picked raspberry and candied apple. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the colours randomly. I'm not going to think about it. I'm just going to add them randomly, just to my stencil. I'm not adding them in rows. I'm not doing anything particular. I'm just sort of randomly adding colour. Let's add a little bit of red. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of just randomly adding colour. Let's move those out of the way because I won't be able to do anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spritz this stencil with water. So not the card, the stencil with water. What I'm going to do is then just spend a few minutes just to clean my mess up. And what I'm going to do is just wipe the edges of my stencil. This is a 6x6 stencil that I've designed. Like so. So I've got the stencil with all that ink on. So we'll bring our BigShot in. Hopefully you can still see okay. So again, standard platform, then the cutting pad, stencil on the cutting pad, and then a piece of card does help, Tracy. A piece of card placed on the stencil, like so. And then I'm going to add my rubber mat. It doesn't matter to me if I get a little bit of ink on there, and it doesn't bother me, that kind of thing. And then the impressions pad. Remembering all these names of pads and cutting pads, and it messes with my head. So let's run that through the machine. Again, there's no forcing. I can't feel any pressure. It's only my non-stick craft sheet that is causing things to move. So let's move this out the way and let's remove everything. So I've got my impressions pad, my rubber mat, and you don't panic. You've got a little bit of ink on there. Just before you do anything else, just give it a little wipe, not a problem at all. And then let's lift our stencil. And look what you get. Absolutely gorgeous. Is that not just wonderful? Just love it. Just gives a whole different feel to your embossing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another test. Also, you've got this ink on the stencil. You could then spritz with water and add that to another piece of card and have another stencil background. Okay, there we go. Now let's just do one more test and let's see what happens. So what I'm going to do now is take the BigShot. So I've got the BigShot. I've got my same platform. Let's take it off. Standard platform and cutting pad. And then what I'm going to do this time, let's grab, I need a bigger piece of card, bear with me. Why is there never a bigger piece of card when you want one? Let me just cut a bigger piece of card. So I've got on the floor and cut another piece of card. So we've got the standard platform, the cutting pad, and now I'm going to add a shim of the same card I'm using, which is 300 GSM. Let's see if it'll still go through adding an extra shim. So the shim is on the cutting pad, then the stencil. Let's do it in a colour so that you can see. No, we don't need to. So we've got the shim, and then let's add our piece of card on the top, which is a bit crumpled. Let's find another piece. Another piece of card that is 4x6 on the top of the stencil. Move this so that you can actually see. And then I'm going to add the, what do they call it? Silicone rubber mat. I always forget what they call them. So just add that. So the only difference this time is I've added a shim. And a shim is just a piece of card. Now, let's see if this means that it's more forced through the BigShot. So I'm not forcing anything. I'm just what I need to do now is place my hand on here And I'm just making sure, now it's a bit stiffy to get through the machine. So it's a little bit stiffy. So maybe a 250 GSM shim. So I can still get a shim through. I've still got a background there on the shim. So that's the shim, and the embossing has worked. Nice deep embossing. So if on your machine, say that the first combination didn't work, just add a shim of card and you get embossing. Now, whilst I'm on here, if there's any other techniques or anything else that you'd like to see, I have a group on Facebook. Let me just find my group. I've got a group on Facebook that's called Tracy Evans Craft Addicts Create, Share and Inspire. If you put my name in on Facebook, it will either come up with my personal profile, which is also for craft, and my group. Now inside my group, you go to the media tab, albums, and in there I have got 98 workshops that you can join. These are paid workshops, but they are cram-packed with content. And I go into lots of details with different techniques. And I've just added one where we're doing a tag-along workshop where I add to that workshop throughout the year. So it's not like my normal workshops where you've perhaps got 10 videos or one video and that's it. With the tag-along one, I add to it continually. But there are 98 workshops to choose from. So if you'd ever like to join me on one of the workshops, feel free to email me. I'll add my email to the description box in YouTube. And if you'd love to share this video, that would be much appreciated. I love to educate. I also like to show warts and all. So I will show any mistakes. I will show anything that doesn't work. And I often come back if I've had questions that something didn't work for somebody. So if my first combination didn't work for you, then add a shim. So I hope you enjoyed that. Love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.